Hi, I'm Steve Sample with Bama Talk. Don't miss a single episode of Bama Talk Show, available now on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.
This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, November the 16th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and it looks like we have some marginal threat for severe weather. Let's get right to the maps and everything. There's a look at the Skycam network, and we have fog in the area with a fog advisory in effect, but it looks like the fog should lift by early morning at 9 a.m. or so, and we'll see clouds. There's a look at Trussville, and they're certainly in the fog at Trussville. We're dealing primarily with a surface high pressure off to our northeast, and that surface high, of course, is bringing a good moisture in from the Gulf of Mexico in the upper atmosphere. We've been watching the development of a strong trough off to our west that is expected to become negatively tilted and move through the Great Lakes area fairly quickly. Ahead of that trough, the temperatures have risen nicely across the central part of the country. As you can see, temperatures climbing into the 60s at the early morning hour of 5 to 6 a.m., all the way up into northern Missouri. Across central Alabama, you can see all the fog reports and temperatures generally in the middle 50s. We didn't change much overnight last night with the rain that came through and brought a nice rain on the order of, about a third of an inch or so to most locations, a little bit more in some spots. QPF-wise over the next 5 days, coming primarily Sunday and into very early Monday morning. We're expecting on the order of, once again, around a half inch, maybe some spots with some of the stronger storms getting closer to 1 inch. Storm Prediction Center is outlooking a slight risk for severe storms today up in parts of Iowa, Illinois, and northern Missouri. But day 2, there's a moderate risk that surrounds much of Indiana and Ohio, as well as parts of southern Michigan, parts of eastern Illinois, and parts of Kentucky. Slight risk extends down our way, and we'll be talking about that in just a minute. On day 3, there is no slight risk areas. And in the tropics, we are watching, the National Hurricane Center is watching an area of disturbed weather in the central Atlantic that could develop. It's non-tropical at the moment, but some conditions are favorable for development. All right, the 060 GFS model run, and there's our map for today. For most part, we should stay mainly dry, but with the clouds, you can't rule out a passing sprinkle or two, or perhaps maybe even a little shower. The trough by Sunday is moving through the central part of the country, and so the main dynamics for this weather system are going to be further to the north. You can see the surface low in the vicinity of Chicago, so I think the moderate risk area certainly is an area to be watched. And take an intermediate time, there is midnight, and the surface low is deep into a 980 low. So the GFS suggesting that, a very strong surface low, the cold front trailing back through the southeastern U.S., and that should bring us some rain during the afternoon and evening Sunday, and as well as perhaps even early Monday morning. Now, the chances for severe weather. Cape values are sufficient. They're not particularly high. It does look like we'll probably be seeing something in the way of maybe a squall line, or QLCS as it's called now. Helicity values are fairly robust. Again, the main dynamics are further to the north, so I think the tornado risk is further to the north, but once again, the values are sufficient. Probably one of the limiting factors is that the atmosphere is expected to be quite moist, and with clouds, that's going to limit factors as well. Looking at dew points, the dew points do climb up into the mid and perhaps nudging into the upper 60s, so certainly sufficient moisture. Again, I think that perhaps with the lack of destabilization, with no daytime heating, with a good cloud deck, I think maybe we could miss any severe weather, but the threat is certainly there. It looks like the main threat would be that of primarily severe thunderstorms. Again, this is not an absolute clear-cut situation, so we'll certainly have to watch the development of it. The trough moves quickly through, as you can see, the closed low as well as the trough moving through New England on Monday, and so that takes the front out of the area, and surface high settles in over southwestern Missouri. The surface high moves across the Ohio River Valley on Tuesday, so that would certainly be a coolish day for our start. And then I think probably with light wind and everything on Wednesday morning, we end up with our coolest morning. Then by Wednesday afternoon, we see that we're beginning to see the zonal flow and slight ridge pattern migrating into something more of a trough over the western part of the country. The trough begins to take shape more on Thursday, and that should once again develop a bit of a front across the Central Plains states. The trough becomes sort of split as we see a closed, or what is probably going to become a closed low over the southwestern U.S. as a trough holds back and one piece of energy moves across the Great Lakes. So that split flow means a front coming down into the area, but certainly not anything of too much significance, but certainly the possibility of surface low development in the northwest Gulf of Mexico, and we see the hints of that on Saturday. So it looks like with the front in the area, we may be into a bit of a wet end to the upcoming week. Looking out into voodoo country, we do see that the southwesterly trough phases up, and we get a nice trough moving through the flow on Thanksgiving, and this could certainly aid in the development of weather for our big travel day on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and certainly cause some problems for people that are heading out for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend and the long holiday weekend and Black Friday. But by the time we get to Monday, December the 2nd, the GFS is suggesting a big trough along the west coast, as well as a nice ridge over the eastern two-thirds of the country, and that would certainly mean a big warm-up. Well, that'll do it for this Weather Xtreme video. Keep tuned to the blog for the latest on the developing weather situation, and we'll be watching that, and you'll see notes posted here. In the meantime, I expect to have the next Weather Xtreme video posted first thing on Sunday morning. Have a great day, and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.